This bus will explode!
Back then, a movie about public transportation somehow became the most stressful 2 hours of the 1990s. In 1994, Speed burst into theaters from 20th Century Fox and quickly changed what an action movie could feel like. Directed by Jan de Bont in his first feature film, the movie starred Keanu Reeves as LAPD officer Jack Traven, Sandra Bullock as unexpected hero Annie Porter, Dennis Hopper as bomb-loving mastermind Howard Payne, and Jeff Daniels as Jack's loyal partner Harry. The idea was perfectly simple and completely crazy. A city bus set to explode if it falls below 50 miles per hour. Just pure movement and no room for mistakes. Today, we're counting down 15 strange facts about Speed. Stay tuned for number 14 because Keanu Reeves secretly trained for a stunt his director clearly told him not to do and then did it anyway. Now, before we start, don't forget to like, subscribe, and support this video. It helps YouTube show this to more classic movie fans just like you. Alright, press your foot on the gas and let's start with number 1. Sandra Bullock really learned how to drive a bus. Before Speed turned Sandra Bullock into America's new favorite action star, she did something most actors would politely try to avoid. She learned how to truly drive a bus.
I needed an actress who really you could believe that she could drive this bus.
She went out and got a commercial driver's license and reportedly passed the test on her first try. Now, Hollywood still protected its investment. For the dangerous scenes, the bus was set up with a special steering pod on the roof, where a stunt driver controlled the vehicle while Bullock acted below.
Miss, can you handle this bus?
Oh, sure. It's just like driving a really big Pinto.
I need to know, can you handle this
I'm
bus?
fine, I'm fine.
Safety came first, movie magic came second. But that didn't mean she was just along for the ride. In many scenes, she was truly handling the weight, the turns, and the strong presence of that bus in traffic. And some of those crashes where the bus drives through cars involved real metal hitting real metal. Bullock's training was very useful because when you're driving a huge vehicle through planned chaos, you can't pretend the physics. You either understand the machine or you become part of the crash. What makes Speed work isn't only the explosions, it's that you believe Annie could really keep that bus above 50.
There's a bomb on a bus. Once the bus goes 50 miles an hour, the bomb is armed.
And that belief comes from the small details. The way she holds the wheel, the heavy feeling in the turns, the panic mixed with control.
Number 2. The impossible bus jump was proven fake. You know the moment. The freeway gap, the bus flying through open air like Los Angeles suddenly forgot how roads work. It's one of the most famous action scenes of the 1990s, and it almost looked nothing like that. Early versions of the script included a bus jump, but it was a much smaller moment. Then director Jan de Bont went to look at filming locations on the unfinished I-105 freeway, saw a huge gap in the overpass, and thought what every responsible filmmaker thinks.
To me, acting is so difficult. That's I think it's the most difficult part of making a movie.
What if we launch a bus across that? What started as a simple stunt in the screenplay became the most crazy and unforgettable action moment of the entire movie. There was just one small problem though: physics. In 2009, Mythbusters confirmed what every high school science teacher already suspected. It's completely impossible. A 15-ton city bus on flat pavement would tip forward the moment the front wheels left the edge. So how did they make it work? A hidden kicker ramp built right before the gap. On the first try, the stunt driver missed the ramp and completely destroyed the bus.
My knowledge, nobody had ever jumped a bus. The distance and the height that we had jumped this one.
The second attempt landed almost too well. The bus flew so far it knocked out one of the cameras on the other side, and the stunt driver was hanging in a shock-absorbing harness the whole time because landing in a normal seat could have broken his spine. Mythbusters proved it. Physics hates it, but in 1994, in a dark theater, nobody cared. The bus flew, the audience went wild, and de Bont's sudden idea became the single image most people think of when they hear the word Speed. Number 3. Studio executives panicked over Keanu's hair. In 1994, Speed was a high-stakes thriller about a bus rigged with explosives speeding through Los Angeles. But the real emergency on set had nothing to do with bombs. It was Keanu Reeves' haircut.
Very important, and he's exhibited that interest and belief.
Director Jan de Bont had a clear vision for Jack Traven. Clean-cut, strict, completely different from the surfer style of Point Break. He wanted audiences to forget Johnny Utah the moment the movie started. So Keanu went to the barber, and he didn't just trim it, he almost shaved it all off when he showed up on set looking like he had joined the military overnight. 20th Century Fox executives reportedly freaked out. This was early 90s Keanu after all. He was a grunge-era heartthrob, the guy whose long hair had been selling movie posters and decorating bedroom walls for years. Now he looked like he could take apart a rifle blindfolded.
I don't care about your crime. Whatever you did, I'm sure that you're sorry.
Studio heads were so worried they supposedly feared audiences wouldn't recognize him, or even worse, wouldn't find him attractive anymore. There were real talks about delaying the filming because of his hair. Some executives even suggested putting him in a wig until it grew back. Imagine the most intense action movie of the decade with Keanu in a strangely fluffy action wig bouncing through every explosion. De Bont refused to change his mind. This was the look. End of discussion.
He has all the talent. He's an incredible actor. He's very physical. He's extremely good looking.
By the time filming was fully underway, his hair had grown out about half an inch, enough to calm the studio executives.
Number 4. Almost every big 90s star said no to it. It's hard to imagine Speed without Keanu Reeves, but Hollywood really tried. Before Reeves ever got on that bus, the role of Jack Traven went through what feels like half of the A-list of early 90s stars.
Went sour, now he's a little pissed at me.
What does that have to do with us?
Nothing.
Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise, Woody Harrelson, Wesley Snipes. If you had cheekbones and a studio contract in '93, your agent got the script. And most of them said no. Some quietly passed. Others weren't convinced by what was, at the time, a very simple pitch. It's about a bus. Not exactly an easy sell over drinks. Then there's Stephen Baldwin. He was reportedly the production's first choice, and he turned it down because he thought the role was too similar to Bruce Willis's Die Hard. That's a bold reason to walk away from what became one of the biggest action movies of the decade.
Come on, don't look down.
Director Jan de Bont eventually watched Point Break and saw something different in Keanu Reeves. Not the loudest guy in the room, not built like a walking action figure, but someone who felt real. Ironically, Reeves himself almost said no too. He reportedly didn't like the original script, calling it Die Hard mixed with some kind of screwball comedy. It took an uncredited rewrite before Reeves changed his mind. The biggest action hero of 1994 was the guy who almost didn't get on the bus.
Number 5. Paramount originally backed out. Before Speed became the movie that redefined 90s action, one studio looked at it and slammed on the brakes.
He's here.
You could have blown that thing from Pacoima.
No.
Paramount Pictures was the first to show real interest in Graham Yost's script. They read it, liked it, and got excited. But then they panicked. Paramount executives reportedly worried that audiences would get bored watching what was basically a 2-hour commute with explosives.
Everybody hold on!
The idea felt too small and too much like public transportation to be a blockbuster, so they passed. Yost and director Jan de Bont didn't let it die. They took the script to 20th Century Fox, the studio behind Die Hard, and the conversation changed completely. Fox saw the potential, but wanted the story expanded before they would commit. The filmmakers agreed to open things up, and Fox approved the project. There was another change, too. While the project was at Paramount, action star Jeff Speakman, best known for The Perfect Weapon, had been set to play Jack Traven. When Fox took over, Speakman was dropped, and the long, chaotic casting search that eventually found Keanu Reeves officially began.
Get off.
What?
Get off this. Now, get off this.
Paramount looked at a bus and saw a risk. Fox looked at that same bus and saw a whole franchise. Number 6. The movie almost ran out of money. For a film about not slowing down, Speed almost came to a stop. By the time production reached the final act, the budget was almost gone. The subway derailment,
That huge, metal-twisting, sparks-flying finale was added late to the script.
Bigger scale, bigger destruction, bigger cost, and they hadn't filmed it yet because the money just wasn't there. When 20th Century Fox scheduled its first test screening, the subway crash wasn't filmed. Instead, audiences saw animated storyboards filling in for the finale. 2 hours of white-knuckle bus tension, followed by what basically looked like a very intense PowerPoint presentation. The audience went wild anyway. They were so focused on the tension that they barely cared the ending was a cartoon. That reaction told the studio everything it needed to know.
As the train picks up speed and derails, it ultimately slams into a concrete column, splits one of the cars in two.
Fox approved the extra money. The subway crash was built, filmed, and destroyed in amazing practical chaos. One of the most memorable action endings of the 90s almost stayed just a storyboard sketch, saved by a test audience that wouldn't stop cheering for a movie that wasn't even finished yet. Number 7. Audiences refused to leave their seats. Every studio has measurements, box office predictions, tracking numbers, focus groups. Speed had something better: people walking backward to the bathroom.
The gap in the road up ahead. It's big.
You're kidding. How big?
During an early test screening, Fox marketing chief Tom Sherrack was doing what executives usually do, standing in the lobby, watching the exits, counting how many people leave during a 2-hour movie. Normally, people leave. Popcorn runs, bathroom breaks, a quick stretch, especially in action movies, where you figure you can miss a minute and survive. Not this time, though. As the bus sequence got intense, Sherrack noticed something he'd never seen before. People would get up to go to the restroom, but they wouldn't turn around. They kept their eyes on the screen and shuffled backward down the aisle. Fully grown adults moonwalking toward the exit because they couldn't risk losing sight of Keanu and Sandra for even a second.
And wait a minute, an escort to where? Where do we get an escort to?
Look out!
The lobby stayed empty. The concession stand collected dust. A whole theater full of people decided their bladders could wait. That's when Sherrack knew they had a hit. They didn't need a complicated marketing plan or tricks. The movie was the hook. The pacing did all the work on its own. The audience wasn't just watching a vehicle. They were watching people they didn't want to see explode. And that emotional connection is what kept every seat full and every aisle empty. Number 8. The bus was originally the whole movie. In Graham Yost's early drafts, Speed was mostly a bus movie. There was some story behind it, but the bus took over the screenplay so much that almost everything else felt like a footnote. One vehicle, one very bad day on public transportation, and not much time for anything else.
We're at the airport.
The concern from studios was simple. 2 hours trapped on a city bus felt too small for a big-screen action movie. To be fair, that's already most people's commute. Director Jan de Bont suggested opening the film with an elevator rescue, inspired by a real moment when he once got stuck in one himself. Most people would handle that by complaining to building management. De Bont handled it by turning it into a blockbuster scene. That elevator scene changed the whole rhythm of the movie. Now the audience meets Jack Traven as a proven hero before the bus even appears. Howard Payne is introduced, the stakes are set, the fuse is lit, and the bus hasn't even started its engine yet. Then came the ending. Yost's original version had the bus crashing into the Hollywood sign, which is a very 90s way to treat a landmark. The filmmakers changed it to a subway showdown instead. A final rush of terrain, and one last reminder that this movie...
We have police orders to return to the station, westbound 501. Do you copy?
You have to hold this.
refuses to slow down. Okay, we're halfway through this video, so I'm going to take a quick pause before this bus hits another obstacle. If you're enjoying this deep dive into one of the most intense action movies of the 90s, hit that like button. It tells YouTube you want more stories about movies that had no business being this good. And hey, leave a comment with your favorite Speed moment. Now, let's keep this bus above 50 with number 9. The movie started because someone misremembered another movie. Speed exists because of a mistake, a really amazing mistake. Screenwriter Graham Yost was talking with his dad, Canadian TV host Elwy Yost, when his father mentioned the 1985 thriller Runaway Train. According to his dad, the train couldn't stop because there was a bomb on board. One problem? There was no bomb. His dad made that up. The train went out of control because of a mechanical failure. But Graham Yost apparently thought that wasn't traumatic enough and rewrote the movie in his own head. Instead of fixing the story, Graham ran with it. If a bomb on a train was that exciting as a fake memory, imagine it as a real movie. He started with a train, but trains are predictable. They run on tracks. They go in straight lines. You can see the ending coming, literally. So he moved the bomb to a city bus. Now you've got traffic, intersections, pedestrians, and a vehicle full of regular commuters who signed up for public transportation, not a hostage situation on wheels.
I'm Jack Traven, LAPD. We have a slight situation on the bus.
That change turned a solid idea into something truly terrifying because a bus in downtown LA has nowhere safe to go and no easy way to stop. One misremembered movie in Hollywood gave us a bus that couldn't slow down.
Number 10. The speed limit used to be much less intense. Here's something that almost ruined Speed before it even left the garage. In Graham Yost's first draft, the bomb was set to explode if the bus dropped below 20 miles per hour.
50! Stay above 50! All right?
20? That's not scary. That's a careful mall parking lot. A city bus can keep 20 miles per hour without any effort. That's barely a jog for public transportation. You could sip a coffee, argue about directions, and still have time to check your mirrors. Then a friend read the script and gave the note that saved the whole movie. Make it 50, and everything changed.
Remember, no big movements. Just look whipped.
That ain't gonna be too hard.
50 miles per hour through downtown LA is intense. Every intersection becomes a gamble. Every merging car could be a disaster. You can't crawl through side streets anymore. You're forced onto freeways, boxed in, fully committed. The bus isn't just moving, it's charging. That one change turned the idea from a mildly stressful commute into a white-knuckle panic attack behind the wheel.
Check.
Yeah.
Look.
At 20, the driver has choices. At 50, those choices disappear. That constant pressure is a big reason Speed still works today. The audience never gets a chance to relax because the bus can't either. Number 11. The movie was almost called Minimum Speed. Let's all take a second and be thankful because Speed, the short, punchy title that practically yells at you from a VHS shelf, was almost called Minimum Speed. That's not a thriller, that's a DMV pamphlet. Graham Yost had the working title set during early drafts, and it made sense. The bomb goes off if the bus drops below a certain speed. Minimum speed.
Focus, Jack! Your concern is the bus. And don't try to call. The radio's down.
Technically, it's correct, but it's completely the wrong energy for a movie about a bus full of terrified commuters racing through Los Angeles like a missile with a route number. The word minimum was the problem. It sounds careful. It sounds like a warning sign in a school zone. It gives the exact opposite energy the movie needed. So Yost did the smartest thing he could. He deleted one word. Yost later joked about how much titles matter by pointing at the sequel, Speed 2, Cruise Control. Cruise Control. That's literally the button you press when you want to relax and stop thinking about the accelerator. Not exactly the vibe you want for an action franchise. Minimum speed sounds like a suggestion. Speed sounds like a command.
I'm telling you, honey, he's somewhere jerking off.
You didn't have to get on the bus in the first place, Ortiz.
And that one-word title became as much a part of the movie's identity as the bus itself. Number 12. River Phoenix's death affected Keanu Reeves. Speed is remembered as a non-stop adrenaline rush, but when filming started in late 1993, the mood on set was much heavier than the movie shows. On October 31, 1993, River Phoenix died at 23. For Keanu Reeves, this wasn't just distant Hollywood news. The two had become close friends while filming My Own Private Idaho, and that friendship lasted well beyond the set.
I can't talk about My Own Private Idaho without talking about River. Extraordinary person.
Speed was already being filmed when it happened, and director Jan de Bont noticed the change right away. Reeves became quiet and withdrawn. To de Bont's credit, he handled it carefully. Instead of jumping into the film's hardest scenes, he quietly adjusted the shooting schedule. He started Reeves with action setups and technical work, less emotionally heavy material, so Reeves could ease back in at his own pace. There were no big conversations about it, just a director reading the room and protecting his lead. Between takes, Reeves reportedly kept to himself.
You know, at the core of this, at the center of this was River.
He spent time in his trailer reading Hamlet, Shakespeare, and Solitude. That may be the most Keanu coping mechanism ever. Sandra Bullock also felt the loss. She had recently worked with Phoenix and later talked about how deeply Reeves was affected during filming. It's a strange contrast to watch Reeves sprint across rooftops and jump on the moving buses in the finished movie, knowing that just off camera, he was carrying real grief.
Number 13. One bus had no windshield. You know those intense close-ups in Speed where Keanu is gripping the wheel and Sandra is panicking inches from the camera? Notice how there's never any glare on the glass? That's because there wasn't any glass. Out of the 12 GM new-look buses used during filming, one was changed in the most beautifully low-tech way imaginable. They ripped the windshield out completely. The crew nicknamed it the Pope-mobile, and it's easy to see why. The reason was simple: reflections. In the 90s, you couldn't digitally remove glare in post-production. If the sun hit the glass wrong, you'd see crew members, lighting rigs, and probably a guy eating a sandwich in the background. So instead of fighting the problem, they removed it entirely. That open front let the camera sit directly in front of Keanu and Sandra, capturing every ounce of panic without distortion. It's a big reason those close-ups feel so raw and immediate. There's literally nothing between the audience and the actors.
Number 14. Keanu did a stunt the director told him not to. There's a very specific moment in Speed that would make every insurance company nervous. Jack Traven floors a Jaguar, lines it up, and jumps from the moving car onto a speeding bus.
And when he's underneath that bus, you know, it's him. It's now double.
It's clean, it's smooth, and completely insane. And director Jan de Bont did not want Keanu Reeves anywhere near it. From day one, de Bont was clear the lead actor was not doing that jump. Keanu had other ideas. Despite being told to stay put, he quietly started training with the stunt team anyway. On the day of the shoot, Reeves insisted he was doing it. De Bont was reportedly terrified, which makes sense, but Keanu went for it anyway and nailed it in one take. And you can feel the difference. There's something about knowing the real actor is in the shot, the weight shift, the timing, the tension. It's not fake. The audience might not consciously notice, but their gut does. Not every stunt in Speed was Keanu, though. The subway derailment used miniatures and doubles. But that Jaguar to bus leap, that was all him. No permission, no safety net of studio approval, just a guy who decided the movie needed to be real and made sure it was. Sometimes the best movies aren't the ones that follow the plan. They're the ones that refuse to slow down. Number 15. The dialogue was mostly rewritten at the last minute. Speed is famous for explosions, but it became legendary because of one line. Pop quiz, hotshot.
When I find you.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
That line alone is etched into the 90s. And here's the twist. Graham Yost created the concept, the bomb, the bus, the villain, the whole engine. But 1 week before filming began, 20th Century Fox brought in a secret weapon, Joss Whedon. Before Avengers, before Buffy, Whedon was the guy studios quietly called when a script needed sharper teeth. He came in and reportedly rewrote close to 90% of the finished dialogue. He sharpened Howard Payne's taunts. He gave Jack Traven dry, grounded responses instead of generic action hero swagger. He turned Annie from a punchline machine into a capable, real person who just happened to be gripping the steering wheel when everything went sideways. And yes, he wrote Pop Quiz, Hotshot. Yost has joked that he's happy to take credit for it at parties, but the snap, the rhythm, and the menace in that line is Whedon's fingerprint all over it. The bus was the hook, the stunts were the spectacle, but the dialogue is why people are still quoting this movie 3 decades later. Yost built the engine, Whedon gave it a voice 7 days before the cameras rolled. And that's 15 weird and wild facts about Speed.
A movie built on rejected actors, a rewritten script, a budget held together with duct tape, and one guy who jumped onto a moving bus just because he wanted to. Which fact surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments. And if you know someone who still answers the phone with "Pop Quiz Hotshot," send them this video. They've earned it. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss a deep dive.